Hi guys, today we're going to talk about solving equations with variables on both sides. So if you want to write this problem down before we start solving it, we're going to solve this one completely together. So similar to solving an equation with variables on one side, I'm going to actually split the equal sign so that I can visually see the two sides. So the two sides of my equation both have x. So that's what we mean by variables on both sides. There's an x on the left and there's also an x on the right. When you're solving your equation, you can do it a bunch of different ways. So just because this is what I do doesn't mean you can't do yours a little bit differently. But what I usually do is find whichever x is biggest and decide that that's the x that I'm going to keep. There are some examples where it might be a little bit trickier. Ultimately, it doesn't matter. But the first thing you have to do is decide which one of these you're going to keep and which one of these you're going to cancel. So because 4 is bigger, I am going to keep this side as my variable side and this side as my constant side. So to figure out what I'm going to cancel out, I'm going to start over here on my constant side and see about which term doesn't belong. So the term that doesn't belong is 2x. It has a variable and it's on my constant side. So I'm going to cancel out this 2x by looking in front and seeing that it's positive. So if you remember from all of our other equations videos, to cancel out a positive, we will subtract it. Whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other in order to keep your equation balanced. So the first thing that I'm going to do is subtract 2x on both sides. So that will totally cancel, and now I don't have any x's on my constant side. So the constant that I have left is -1. So now that's the only thing left on my constant side. On the variable side, I have to combine these. I have to actually do 4x minus 2x. So if you remember things about combining like terms, 4x take away 2x is going to leave me with 2x's because 4 minus 2 is 2. I also have this term to bring down. So now my equation is -1 equals 2x plus 7. So now that I got rid of the variable on my constant side, now that I have just one x term instead of 2, now I'm going to look at my variable side and see what doesn't belong over here. So the 7 doesn't belong on this side because 7 doesn't have a variable. So I'm going to look and see what kind of a 7 it is. It's a plus 7. So I'm going to minus 7. So that will cancel. Now my variable side has 2x. And I have to actually combine what's over here on my constant side. So use a calculator if you need to until you understand how to solve equations, but -1 minus 7 is -8. All right, from here I have to look at the variable side and figure out what is left that I have to get rid of. So 2 times x, the opposite of times is divide. So I have to divide both sides by 2. That cancels. So my variable is isolated. I only have x all by itself now on my variable side. The other side, -8 divided by 2, is -4. So I'm going to write down what we did at each step. First, we subtracted 2x on both sides. Then we subtracted 7. And then we divided by 2. All right, so now you see how instead of only needing 2 steps to solve, I need a few. I need a step where I combined my x's and a steps where I combined my constants. All right, so let's do another example. Just kidding, I don't want that example. I want this example instead. So you can go ahead and pause the video here, copy this down. I want you to try this one on your own and see if you get the same answer that I do. So pause the video here, work it out. I'm going to notice that this side is negative 2x and this side has a positive 4x. So when I'm looking at my variables and I'm deciding which one to keep, I'm going to keep the one that's positive. All right, so I'm going to go over to my constant side and I'm going to get rid of the variable term on my constant side. So I'm going to cancel out this negative 2x by adding 2x's to both sides. So basically my first step is always going to involve canceling out one of the x terms from one side. You don't have to start in that order, but for me it's easier if I only have one x at a time. So the first thing that I always do is cancel out one of my x's, and I'm choosing to cancel out the negative one because why not? So I'm going to bring down the 10. This side has a constant of 4. On this side I have to combine 4x plus 2x is a positive 6x. So I added 2x to both sides. I'm going to combine 4x and 2x. All right, now I'm going to look at my variable side and notice that 4 is not a variable term. If you also notice, 10 and 4 are like terms, so they want to be together. And right now 4 is on the wrong side because 4 is matched up with x, and these are different types of terms. So a positive 4, I'm going to need to subtract to cancel it out. All right, I have to combine over here. 10 minus 4 is 6. And I'm just going to move it closer because it's already pretty far away from the equal sign. And my variable side, I'm just going to bring down that I had a 6x. So the last step is to divide. Divide by the number in front of x. So 6 divided by 6 is 1. So x equals 1. All right, I want you to write down this next question. I want you to work it out and tell me what you get. All right, there's one for you to try and be prepared to answer that one on your own.